Okay, hi everybody, and welcome back to another Read Aloud with the Orangeville Public Library. My name's Allison, and I'm one of the summer students with the Orangeville Public Library and the TD Summer Reading Club. So today we're going to be reading a Curious George story, and this one is called Curious George and the Hot Air Balloon. So we'll just wait a few minutes before we get started, and we'll see if anybody else joins us, and then we will begin. And we have Katie in the chat if anybody wants to say hi, or let us know that you're watching, or if you have any questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you. So you can send those in the chat, and either Katie or myself will answer you. So we'll get started in just a few minutes, so just stick around for that. And while we're waiting to get started, I'll let you know about some of the things we have going on this week. So one thing we have going on is on Friday, we have our paramedic event. So we're actually doing a live story time at the Dufferin Paramedic Services location. So if you're interested in that, I will send the link to register in the chat. But it'll be super fun to do something in person with you. So if that's something you're interested in coming to and seeing the ambulance and learning more about all of that and hearing a story, we'd love to have you join us. So there's the link in the description if you'd like to come to that. And that's this Friday. Another thing that I'll remind everybody of is we only have this week and next week until the TD Summer Reading Program is over for the summer. And we are only about 6,100 minutes away from reaching our goal of 100,000 reading minutes. So make sure you're logging on Beanstack. And remember, you can use the time from the read alouds on Beanstack as well. So after you listen today, you can go in and put that time on Beanstack. So we want to reach our goal of 100,000 minutes because everybody's been working super hard this summer and reading lots. So make sure you're logging all of your minutes so that we can reach that before the end of the summer. I'll just wait a little bit longer and then we'll get started with Curious George and the Hot Air Balloon. And maybe while I wait, I have this other book here. This one's called I Didn't Know That Some Planes Hover and Other Amazing Facts About Flying Machines. So I'll just read you a quick fact or two about hot air balloons just to get you thinking about them. And so here's the picture here, and I'll just read this before we read our Curious George book. So this says, I didn't know that you can fly on hot air. As air heats up, it expands and becomes lighter than the air around it. If you fill a balloon with hot air, it will rise up. Gas burners heated the air in this balloon. So they're talking about this one here. It says the Montgolfier brothers made this famous balloon from linen and paper, and it carried 2 men across Paris on the first ever manned flight in November of 1783. So that was a long time ago. The air was heated by burning straw. And over here it says, balloon pilots rely on the wind for speed and direction. In 1987, Richard Branson and Per Lindstrand flew all the way across the Atlantic in a balloon, although Don Cameron and Christopher Davies set the long-distance record of 2,074 miles in 1978. And the first hydrogen-filled balloon also flew in 1783. So they've been around for a really long time, which is super cool. And there's some cool pictures on there. So I think we'll get started with today's book now that you're thinking about hot air balloons. So like I said, we're reading Curious George and the Hot Air Balloon, and it's by Margaret and H.A. Rays, and it is published by the Houghton Mifflin Company. So I hope you'll follow along, and let's get started. This is George. George was a good little monkey and always very curious. He was on a trip with his friend, the man with the yellow hat. It was the end of their vacation, and they wanted to make just 2 more stops. They were in South Dakota, so of course, they went to see Mount Rushmore. George had never seen anything like it. These are the faces of 4 great presidents, a tour guide said. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. So there's Mount Rushmore, which is a place in the United States. Look, said a girl, there's something crawling on George Washington's head. The tour guide explained that some workers were making repairs to the faces. George watched the workers. Then he saw a helicopter fly by. It was taking tourists for a close-up look. George thought that would be fun. Maybe we can take a ride later, the man said. But now we need to leave or we'll be late for the hot air balloon race. So they got back into their little blue car, and before long, I'll show you the picture before I turn the page. Before long, they came to a whole field full of hot air balloons. George was delighted to see such big balloons. He liked their spots and stripes and stars, but his favorite had a picture of a bunny on it. And so here's all the balloons, and there's the one with the bunny on it. One balloon was not yet up in the air. Its owner was hurrying to fill it as a newspaper reporter took pictures. The man with the yellow hat watched the balloon on the ground, but George watched the balloons in the sky. He was curious. Why didn't they fly away? Then he saw the ropes. A rope is a good thing to keep a balloon from flying away, thought George. A rope is a good thing to climb. Sometimes when a monkey sees something to climb, he can't help himself. He has to climb it. George thought he would climb just one rope, then quickly climb down. But when George climbed up, there was no way to climb back down. The rope had come undone, and there was only one place to go. Up, up, up went the balloon, and George went with it. George flew higher and higher, and the people below grew smaller and smaller. The man with the yellow hat was tiny. The newspaper reporter was too, and the owner of the balloon wasn't very big. But he was big enough for George to see that he was angry. George felt bad. He didn't mean to take the balloon. He didn't even know how to fly it. As the wind whisked him away, he wished he had someone to help him. But he was all alone. He was flying through the sky all alone. George climbed into the basket. When he looked around, he found he wasn't alone after all. The race was on, and he was in the lead. Together, the balloons flew across the field and over the forest. Now George was having fun. But before he knew it, George was alone again, and all the fun was gone. Flying by himself high in the sky, George was frightened. How would he ever get down, he wondered. Oh, if only he hadn't climbed that rope. Suddenly, the wind changed, and George saw something familiar. He was excited. Someone was sure to help him now. In fact, there was someone right in front of him. I wonder who he sees. It was one of the workers, and he was stranded on George Washington's nose. George was so happy to see the worker, he didn't notice how happy the worker was to see him. Slowly, the balloon floated closer. Would it come close enough? It did. The worker grabbed onto the rope and climbed up. Soon, he was in the basket with George. Hurrah, George was rescued. Hurrah, the worker was rescued too. They sailed up over George Washington's head and landed safely in a tree. Soon, a whole crowd came to rescue them both. The man with the yellow hat was happy to see George. The reporter was glad to have such an exciting story to report, and the owner of the balloon wasn't angry anymore. Everyone had seen the rescue. George was a hero. After the workers thanked him, George got a special treat. He got to ride in the helicopter. The helicopter flew George and the man with the yellow hat once more past the presidents, then back to the little blue car. They're all together again. As they drove away, the man said, "That was some vacation, George." George agreed. It was an exciting vacation, but they were both very glad to go home. So that's the end of this story. So I really love the Curious George ones. They're always a lot of fun. We have a ton of these at the library if you're interested in reading more about Curious George and his adventures. So I'll show you a few of them here. So another fun one is Curious George and the Ice Cream Surprise. It's there with an ice cream truck. And we have Curious George Goes to a Movie. So these are just two of the Curious George books that we have. Like I said, we have a ton at the library. So make sure you check those out if you like this one and you want to read more. If you want to read more about hot air balloons or planes, like I showed you at the beginning, we have this book called I Didn't Know That Some Planes Hover, and other amazing facts about flying machines. So it has tons of different facts about planes and just different things that fly. So that's a super fun one to read as well. And then this one is called Hot Air, the mostly true story of the first hot air balloon ride. So this one's all about hot air balloons, and there's some animals in it too. This one's by Marjorie Priceman. So again, another fun one. We have lots more at the library about hot air balloons and planes and everything like that if you're interested. So that was all for today. Like I said, make sure you log this reading time in Beanstack, and you can help us reach our goal of 100,000 reading minutes. And make sure you stay tuned. There'll be a craft posted later today where we will be telling you about sculpting. And one idea, if you would like to sculpt something, I was thinking you could try sculpting a hot air balloon like this, or sculpting a monkey like Curious George. So those are just some fun ideas, and that'll be posted later today. So that's all. If you want now, then thank you for watching, and make sure you keep checking our social media and our website for lots of fun activities that we'll have coming out later this week. So if you're logging off now, then thank you for watching, but I will stay on for a few more minutes if you'd like to say hi or say anything in the chat. And make sure you come back at 11 to check out Katie. She will be reading a book called The Fairy Tale Detectives. So that's at 11, and that's going to be a really fun read aloud. So make sure you come back to check that out as well. Okay, so if nobody has any questions, or if you want to say hi, then I guess I will sign off for now. So like I said, thank you so much for watching, and make sure you come back at 11 to watch Katie's read aloud. And stay tuned this week. We have a craft coming out later today. There'll be science experiments tomorrow, lots of fun stuff going on. And the summer's almost over, so make sure you join us for everything while we're still posting and showing you different activities and things. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.